viewers. Good day, YouTube viewers and subscribers, Facebook friends and family. Welcome to another edition of Joe's Politics 101. Today is June the 28th, 2013, and I want to make another post about the Zimmerman trial that's going on in Florida right now. And listening to some of the testimony, I have to say that it can be a little bit confusing, but if you have any knowledge about law enforcement testifying in a court of law, then you can see some of the things that's going on. The young lady that was testifying, the Jentel lady, I think, considering her background and everything, that she did really well. I've been kind of hearing some things and reading some things that is a put down on her, but aside from the negative things that everybody's saying about her, I think she did a pretty fine job as a young lady who don't have any experience in that area. I'm not gonna get tied up in the cultural background and the education and all of that stuff. She was asked questions and she answered them. She may have had some flaws in her initial interviews, that some things might have been left out, but that's to be expected. In any investigation, there's always things that come up that people fail to remember or not ask the proper questions, and they don't reveal it. A lot of people answer what you ask them, and that's the bottom line. But I was looking at, and I can't think of the young man's name that they had on the stand today, and he said that Trayvon Martin was on top of George Zimmerman, pounding him like the WMA. It's hard for me to believe that that this young man would be on top of this guy, beating him, because after the police came in the arrest, I didn't see any bruises or anything in that man's face. I'm of the belief, and to me this is common sense, that if someone is above you and they're striking you in your face, with their fists, and I'm pretty sure this young man would probably have had enough strength that if he hit Zimmerman in the face with his fist, he was going to bruise him and possibly knock him out with one or two punches. I just can't see how that would happen. Just from my perspective, just if it was me on top of a person, and I've got this adrenaline pumping in me because this individual has been following me and has harassed me and confronted me, if I was to get him down, I would probably have broke his face in half, just not because of my strength, but because of the adrenaline that's flowing, the excitement, the fear of it would cause more damage than what I saw on Zimmerman. I can't buy that testimony of that young man that said that he saw Trayvon Martin on top of Zimmerman. And if he was facing away from him, how could he tell it was Trayvon Martin? It's kind of quirky. It's kind of odd that that witness could come up with such specifics. That he saw Trayvon Martin on top of Zimmerman, beating beating him. You know, it just don't fit the bill. It just don't fit the bill. You know, and I still have my thoughts about this. Here's a young man who's walking through the neighborhood, and here's a creepy man following him. You know, he made the statement about the creepy ass cracker following him. You know, and during the testimony of the young lady Racheal, the defense attorney kept going after her about that statement, about the creepy ass cracker statement, and asked her if she thought that was a racial statement, and she said no. You know, and that's understandable, you know, because basically what cracker is a slang word that some black people, and not only of Afro-American people, but Africans, people of pretty much of color, will refer to white people as crackers because it's a slang word that's used amongst ourselves. It's not meant to be derogatory towards anyone, and you very seldom would probably hear an Afro-American or any person of color make a statement to a white person about cracker, call them cracker or anything like that. And if you want to get into some racial slurs and stuff like that, you can say honky, and you know, there's a couple of other words that I won't say. You know, those are the racial term. That's the racial term. You know, when you get into that honky thing and a couple other words that are used derogatorily towards white folks. But the cracker thing is just something that black people use amongst themselves in their conversations when it comes to referring to some Caucasians or some white folks. You know, white people may see it as a racial term, but it's really not. You know, I wouldn't back up from it, and she didn't see it as that. So he kept pressing her, trying to make her say that it is a racial term, and in her mind it's not, but in his it is. You know, it's not like the N-word that's used towards someone in a derogatory manner. It's still, I don't care how you cut this cake, it's still a problem that Zimmerman was stalking this young man. He stalked him. The young man tried to run away and put distance between them. Zimmerman pursued him, probably running behind him, trying to chase him down. Then when he found him, based on the testimony that I've heard so far, he asked him, "What are you doing in this area? What are you doing here? Why are you here?" Now, did he give this young man an opportunity to say, "My father lived here," or "My father lived there," or "I'm here visiting my people"? We don't know that. You know, what did Zimmerman say? How did Zimmerman approach this young man on this issue? You know, the stand your ground law, which, you know, is no longer an option for Zimmerman. It's no longer an option for Zimmerman because Zimmerman basically murdered this young man for no reason. You know, he had an alternative. If the young man wasn't talking to him, wasn't associating with him, he could have turned and walked away. Before he pursued this young man, he could have not have pursued him. He could have left him to his own vices and let him go on to where he was going. No, he couldn't do that. He couldn't do that because it was one of them guys that always get away with whatever he was saying they get away with, you know. And when he confronted him and he saw that the young man was a child, a teenager, he could have, okay, you know, this is me. My name is so and so and so, and I'm the neighborhood watch coordinator, and I think you're acting suspicious. You were hanging around the mail area or whatever, and explain to him why he was confronting him. Did George Zimmerman do that? You know? When you get right down to this whole issue, George Zimmerman, probably out of excitement, adrenaline, over pursuant of his authority, shot and killed this young man accidentally, maybe, before he could really think what was going on or why he was there or what he had done? Or did he do it intentionally? Was it his, from the outset, was it his goal to confront this young man and deal with him in a manner that would teach him a lesson about being in a place? It sort of reminds me of back in the day when you had to be really, really careful if you ventured into a white community as a black man or an Afro-American. You had to be really, really careful if you walked through a white neighborhood. If the police didn't get you, somebody in the neighborhood would get you. And most of the times it didn't turn out very well for people. You know, I've never had it happen to me personally, but I do know people that have had it happen to them. So I'm still watching, and I'm going to be watching, because I want to see if justice is going to be served in this case. The idea that they can say he's a Hispanic or he's mixed with this or he's mixed with that or whatever, but basically people like him are assimilated into the Caucasian race, into white society, as you might want to say it. It's assimilated, you know. Their values are that of the white Caucasian people when it comes to Afro-Americans or any people of color or Muslim or religions is different. The idea that Zimmerman, I look at Zimmerman, and some of my training, you're taught how to kind of gauge a person's personality and his mind, the mindset of some people's attitudes, the behaviors and stuff. And in looking at Zimmerman, I look at his eyes, his makeup of his face. His eyes are really, really close together in the makeup of his facial features. And he strikes me as a deviant, the type of person that wants to be something, can't be it, and is willing to go out and try and pursue that on a private basis, more of a vigilante type of individual. He don't have the necessary skills, the mindset, or the ability to be a police officer, but he's willing to go out and try to exercise that authority based on something like a community watch program. I'm going to leave it at that for now. Well, thank you for viewing my video. God bless you. God bless America. Ciao.